was trying to think of what to talk about here because I've been covering this topic for 25 years. And I've watched, technologies come, they're ready, they're here, they're hyped, and not quite ready. And in fact, my next book is called The Wave Theory, which is about waves of technology, waves of investment, but it's about a lot more than that. But I do a lot of consulting, and in fact, this has become a thing, which I didn't expect as a journalist, to actually be somebody who understood kind of when to hit the right wave and when there was the wrong wave and the right wave. So I'm going to talk just a minute here about kind of this last 25 years and a quest that I've been on. So professional storyteller here. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a biologist, although I hang out with a lot of them. But my quest started in 2001 when I was one of the first humans to ever be sequenced, genetically sequenced. And it was a kind of a crazy idea. I just started writing for Wired magazine. I think you were already gone by then. But I got the assignment to write about this crazy new thing called the Human Genome Project. The Human Genome Project. And I didn't know much about genetics. I had covered healthcare in Washington, healthcare policy, that sort of thing. But I got tired of that, so I switched over to the science side. And so how am I going to write about this? And it's all this code. And so I got the idea of testing myself. And I actually talked somebody into sequencing me. And I wrote about it, and I was able to write about what it was like as a human being to actually have their DNA tested back at a time when almost nobody knew about this. And I also wrote, and I heard all the different people talking about how this is going to revolutionize healthcare. And so this launched me on a quest to try to figure out what was going on with bioscience, with healthcare, with these cycles, and what was real and what was not. And we cut to about 10 years later, I was working on a project called The Experimental Man, and some of you may know about this. But I ended up getting being tested by everyone for everything. So brain, body, everything you could possibly think of, all the omics, the microbiome, all of that, and going through all of these different phases. And I ended up with about 70 terabytes of data on myself, okay? A lot of data. But what did it all mean? I had various results. I went all over the world to different labs trying to figure out what this all meant. And by the way, I just want to make it clear, this is about me, okay? Everybody's talking about AI for this and that. This is all about me. So what's in this? What is biology, biotech? What's in it for me? And when I say that, I don't mean literally me, although I do kind of, but it's really about all of us. So I took on this role as sort of the everyman, and I always thought there should be an experimental woman, which we will get to, experimental other kind of people. But I guess what I'm partly here to talk about is after almost 25 years of all of this testing, over 70 terabytes of data on myself, and really talk after talk for years saying, answering the question, what have I learned? Not that much, okay? Some of the data has been useful, and I'm now old enough that some of the predictions that were made even 25 years ago, have they happened? And a couple of them have. So some of that did work. But going through all these different phases of neurotesting, wellness testing, on and on and on, where has it gotten me? I'm about to do a big project on the human immunome, and I'm about to be tested on some new technologies for that. So I was always the skeptic. I was like, well, okay, I still haven't learned that much. So when am I going to learn something? So I am here to tell you tonight that Mr. Skeptic here, because that's kind of what I'm paid to do as a journalist, is to look at these things. Is this real? If I'm writing a story, I used to also write for Fortune. I covered the business side of biotech for a long time. If I'm going to write a story that everybody's going to read about a company, I have to be, both kind of excited about it, but also skeptical. So here I am tonight to tell you that I'm very, very happy that I think the wave with computing and AI is getting to the point where you guys may actually be able to tell me what the hell's going on inside of my own body. Okay? And, we can talk about it afterwards. I'm still getting tested. But I think, the question that you ask, how's this going to accelerate? I think finally we're going to be able to collect the data. Collecting the data has become pretty, it's not cheap, but certainly has gotten less expensive. I mean, a human genome, an entire genome now, a complete genome is about $100. Okay, it was $300 million 25 years ago. And on and on and on. We've heard that example, but there are a lot of other examples like that. So I think we are finally on the cusp of actually beginning to make sense of this. However, I don't think it's the final wave at all. I think we're 3 or 4 waves from when it really is going to hit. And I hate to say that with investors in the room and all that, but I think it's getting closer and closer. So thank you. All right.